Hi everyone, I'm Justin. You may know me better as Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube or Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and I've got a sports rant incoming, so hold on to your jocks. As CHL teams and leagues careen recklessly towards their playoffs, no better time of year to be a fan of junior hockey. It just fills me with this feeling. And what is it again? Oh yeah, I am so sick of Gary Bettman. I had to get it out. I'm so sick of Gary Bettman. I'm so sick of his little weasel face, and I'm sick of that voice. I'm sick of the legalese and the doublespeak and talking out of both sides of his neck. And every time I see him on my television or hear his voice, it makes my day actively worse. So as you probably guessed, Czar Bettman is at it again, although this time at least, he's not going to war with his own players and the association that represents them. No, this time he's going to war with the International Olympic Committee. Before I go any further, let me clarify something. NHL players want to play in the Olympics. Whether Czar Bettman likes to admit it or not, the Olympics trump the NHL. It just does. It's the same way that the World Cup trumps league soccer. It's the exact same thing. It only happens every 4 years. There's a mystique to it. There's something about it because it happens every 4 years. And every kid that grows up to be a worldwide star hockey player wants to play in the Olympics. They want to represent their country on the biggest stage in the world, and like it or lump it, that's the Olympics. And you can roll your eyes at the nationalism of, oh, I'm a hockey player and I want to represent my country. But roll your eyes at it if you want to, but it's 100% true. To a man, if you ask players in the NHL, the possibility of donning their nation's colors and representing their country at the Olympics in their sport where they are one of the best in the world means a lot to them. And in some cases, probably means more to them than playing in the NHL where, you're going to make a lot of money and, you get all the exposure in the world and sometimes a lot more than you want. But you know what, NHLers, let me be honest with you. Gary Bettman doesn't give two shits about what you want. He never has. Quite frankly, he never will. You know what Gary Bettman cares about way more than you and what you want? $10 million. That's the amount that he cited that it would probably cost the NHL to have about 150 of its players participate in Pyeongchang in 2018. $10 million for around 150 players. I don't like to bring up the fact that if you take that $10 million and you spread it out amongst 31 team owners, that's only about $325,000 per owner to have NHL players participating in the Olympics. Pardon me while I take up a fucking collection for multi-millionaires, but then again, you know what? It's not my money. To the NHL's perspective, it's their money. It's the money they have, the money they want, and the piece of the Olympics that they seem to demand. And make no mistake about it to anybody that's watching, money is the whole name of the game here to the brass in the NHL. For the last 20 years, as we know, NHL players started participating in, I believe it was Nagano in 98. So for the last 20 years, the NHL has been given a free ride by the IOC and the IIHF because they've fronted the bill for insurance and travel and lodging and everything like that. They've fronted the bill for that. So the NHL, for the last 2 decades, has been given a free ride into the Olympics. Not going to be the case anymore, apparently, and boy, doesn't Diaper Baby Bettman have a stick up his ass, and a thick one, about that. Well, maybe only a little. I mean, he was willing to look the other way if you give him a little extension on the CBA there, huh? Give him a little tickle on the CBA right in the undercarriage there. Give him an extra 3 years to keep ripping you off there. You know what I care about as a fan of the NHL, a fan of the sport of hockey, a fan of the people that play this game? Spoilers, it ain't the money. I care above all else about seeing the best players take on the best players on the biggest stage in the world, because that results in the best hockey in the world. With respect to Sportsnet's John Shannon, it is about best on best, at least from the fan perspective. You know, the fans, the ones who hold the money that diaper baby Bettman and his owners seem to crave so desperately. To answer the questions posed by pretty well the lead hockey blogger in the world now, Steve Dangle, yes, it does matter to me if NHL players go or skip in 2018 in Pyeongchang. Yes, I would watch the games. Yes, it does matter to me. And it matters to a lot of other people too. You know what I care about less than Olympic hockey? And I'm going to be brutally honest here, and if this makes me not a good fan, well then so be it. What I care a lot less about than Olympic hockey are NHL games in early February with 2 months to go in the season. And I hate to break it to you, Czar Bettman, but if the Olympics are on, I'm going to watch the Olympics. I'm sure I can come to terms with sacrificing that all-important early February Coyotes Avalanche game in order to watch Canada-Sweden best on international ice. Here's what it comes down to. Max Pacioretty wants to play in South Korea next year. Erik Karlsson wants to play in South Korea next year. Alex Ovechkin last year said he was going one way or the other. So you know he wants to play in South Korea next year. How about Connor McDavid, a guy that's never got the opportunity to play for Canada on this kind of international level? You know damn well he wants to play in South Korea next year. What about a guy like Jonathan Toews, basically Captain Canada? He wants to play in South Korea next year. These are team captains. These are international icons in their sport. And they want to be there. The fans want them to be there. The fans in South Korea, who have never gotten to see these players live and likely never will. You think somebody, like people en masse, fans in South Korea, are going to travel to China next year? You really think that's going to happen? Or do you think that's not going to be an option to them because A, it's expensive, and B, there's a whole lot of Chinese fans to already have monopolized those tickets? You really think that's going to happen? The fans in South Korea want to see the best players in the world. It's not my money. It's theirs. The players want to be there. We want them to be there. So figure it out.